Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard,
I'm Caroline.
and we go to a frankly baffling number of cons every year.
Yeah, but I let you have the intro this time.
Yeah, you actually did, almost. Oh dear. So, where have we been this week?
Cleveland Gaming Classic.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
I believe so. Yeah, it's CGC.
Something along the lines of that.
Yep.
So this is a gaming convention in the sense of video games. We've been to a couple of these, and I feel like I haven't been to one that vibes with us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so far we've done, I think, three of these at this point.
Pre-podcast, and this is our first time at this particular one.
Yeah.
But they all are extremely similar.
Yes, they're all basically a vendor's hall.
Yeah. Vendors
Yep.
all that tend to be in like less
They're
good
not in
locations.
Yeah, they're not in what I would consider a convention space. This was actually our return to the International Expo Center in Cleveland, which, if you want to go all the way back to episode 3, is where we went for Pet Expo.
Yes.
Which, again, was also mostly a vendor's hall.
That was for pets, though. It wasn't like for video games. Like
Yeah.
video games, I would expect like more video game tournaments and stuff like that, and they do have some of those, but there's not like as much pageantry as I want in like a video game tournament or something like that. Where you have
Yeah.
like commentators and like rooms where you can watch games, you can like follow the bracket. Like they don't really make it a good spectator sport,
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's projected on a screen if you want to watch, but, like,
and there aren't even really that many tournaments.
no. Yeah, so again, I feel like you could do a really fantastic video game con that would cater to weirdos like us who are really panel focused. We've just never seen one.
I was commenting you during the con, and I do think this is true. As some of you know, if you're frequent listeners to the podcast,
Hi, both of you.
we met both of you today.
We actually did. We'll talk about that.
A lot of cons were not like actually into the fandom that we're into. Like the closest for me, I think, is steampunk, and for you is sci-fi, and those are probably the rarest of the cons we actually go to, just because there aren't that many of them.
Yeah, but again, for the record, I do very much enjoy video games.
Yeah.
I play a fair amount of them. I'm currently I'm currently replaying Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it's the best Assassin's Creed game.
You don't punch holes in your drywall because you lose it then, which is why I love you.
Yeah, well, that's just dumb.
Men need to learn emotional regulation.
Yeah. I do not have good emotional regulation. But
remember the couch we bought?
The one that made me cry?
Yeah, that one.
Like, you told a sad story about it and it made me cry.
Yeah.
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 But I don't particularly have anger issues, unlike a lot of men. But yeah.
Anyway, the point of that was, like, I'm not really that big of a fan of anime. Or, like, I like the furries. It's hard. I don't really care about anthropomorphic animals in any level of detail. But I will say that, like, going to conventions that are, like, anime conventions or furry conventions or, like, comic book conventions, like, it makes me want to be more involved, and then I never really ever get more involved, but at least makes me want to, like, watch anime, or at least watch Zootopia, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, like, the Danganronpa panels make me want to play Danganronpa, whereas, like, going to this convention doesn't really make me want to play video games, and I do play video games in, like, the most casual, girly sense possible. I don't really want to get into it, because that's been already attacked enough in my lifetime for, like, not being a real quote-unquote gamer, because I play stuff like The Sims and Mario Kart.
Yeah, again, for the record...
That did not happen today, I want to emphasize.
Yeah. But again, like, for the record, if you're attacking somebody because they're not, like, a true gamer, because, like, the only thing they play is mobile phone games, you might want to reconsider your life choices. Like, you might need to find something that actually matters to get that upset about.
Yeah, I will admit I don't understand how, like, clicking a button to fire a gun in a shooter game and clicking a button to move stuff around in Candy Crush is, like, any different in terms of, like, what you're actively doing. We probably shouldn't start that age-old debate on this podcast.
Let's not stop that.
And I want to be clear, like, the Cleveland Gaming Classic was not, like, any way gatekeeping about who could attend, and no one said anything to us the entire time.
No.
Like, this was nothing on the event. It's just, the events themselves don't really seem to celebrate, like, video games. They seem to be just kind of places where people can buy stuff, and maybe there's some video game stuff, but it doesn't really seem... Even the gaming spaces themselves, I will say, didn't really seem that great at this particular con.
No, like they had, the usual, like, setup of a few consoles, for like the Smash Brothers tournament and that kind of stuff, but like we've definitely seen like better just video gaming spaces just at generalized cons, is what I will say. Like, again, this. Should we talk about the convention space overall? Because I think that gets to like a lot of our problems with this kind
Yeah,
of
we normally
convention.
do.
So basically, this was just one big hall.
Yeah, one big hall near the airport in Cleveland. I think it's called the International Expo Center or something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
It's similar to what is in Columbus, which is just the state fairground that has an expo center in it. It's basically a giant hall. I think this one does technically have a little bit more climate control than a lot of them do, although not that much.
I'll be honest, the temperature today wasn't bad.
It wasn't, but it was also a day where the temperature wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's true. It's currently only like 80 degrees. And yeah, for the record, we are currently driving home at about 6:30 on Saturday.
Yes, this was a one-day convention for us, so it'll be a little bit probably shorter in terms of episode, and we're not going to do anything like top favorite con moments, just because we didn't do all that much.
Yeah.
But it was still interesting. Sorry, we should go back to the convention space.
Yes. So again, one big hall, which I think could have been even bigger, because they had, again, they clearly rented out a certain percentage of the venue. And I think the venue probably could have taken double that number of people, something like that.
Yeah. It was bigger than when we went to Pet Expo. They had most of the venue rented out.
Yes. But again, it was one big hall. Main Events was in there. Their quote-unquote panel room was also just in the hall.
Just parts in the hall that were like they weren't even really sectioned off. They were just kind of around the outside. So they had Main Events that was around the outside of the convention space. They had an extremely small, if you want to call it a panel room, that sat maybe 20 people total near the back wall.
Yep.
And they had some video game spaces in between that were also quite small. They did have 4 Artemis Bridge simulators. We'll talk about that in a minute.
We will talk about the Artemis Bridge simulator for a bit.
But generally, the panel rooms themselves were kind of... I don't like them as setups like this. There's so much crosstalk. It doesn't really feel immersive in the same way if they have their own rooms.
Yeah. And
it just makes them feel like kind of an afterthought.
Yes. Yeah, there was definitely just like... There was a lot of noise at this one generally. And it does make it hard to like find a quiet place to go center yourself if you need to. And again, like the other thing is, I don't think I saw a single like disability access thing at all at this convention.
No, some of the bathrooms you had to go downstairs to get them. There were some on the main floor that were accessible, but not all the bathrooms in the convention center were accessible for everyone, and there wasn't any accessibility seating anywhere, despite there being a decent number of people who were visibly disabled at this con.
Including at least one of the guests.
Yes.
Because one of the guests was Toothless the puppy and their service human.
Yep.
I feel really bad for the fact that I can never remember Toothless the puppy's human's name.
I feel like Toothless the puppy would want their name to not be remembered, human thing.
Yeah. But yeah. So again, like, it's an okay space. It's perfectly functional for what it wants to be. It's just, generally speaking, events there are not going to be things that we like love and adore. Like, I don't see us ever doing a multi-day con in that space.
It's just kind of hard to move around. It's not really comfortable to be in for long periods of time. There's not really a space to chill out where you can go. And the events there just feel kind of less immersive generally.
Yeah. Again, they're very vendors hall focused. Which again, if you want to just turn up for a day, do some shopping, grab a few cool items that were overpriced, then great, have fun with that.
But the other thing that I think it lacks, and you see it at most other cons, is the thing that we love the most about cons is just the sense of community. Like, it's hard to make friends at this particular event or like feel excited about this event. And this is another event that I doubt is anyone's favorite con.
Yes, this is just like, I'm willing to bet of the people who went to it, we're probably, with the exception of like guests who were paid to be there, I'd be surprised if anybody apart from us traveled from more than like an hour away.
Yeah. Which is fine. Some people just want an expo center to buy stuff in. As somebody who like at least is casually interested in games, although nowhere near as much as you, I kind of just wish there were more video game cons in our area that like felt like actual conventions as opposed to vendors hall spaces where you shop and maybe there's like some video game tournaments, and that's like what all of the major ones near us feel like.
Yeah, like again, because the thing about video games is there are so many panels you can do.
Yeah.
on video games. Like video game history, narrative design in video games, voice acting for video games as opposed to any other medium. Like
silly video game challenges, like playing Mario Kart blindfolded.
yeah, like there's a lot of really great fun panels you can do at a video game con, and we've yet to find one that has a desire to do any of that stuff.
They feel a little bit cash grabby. That said, I don't really
Yes.
know that much about whether or not. I would suspect this con is probably for profit, but I haven't done any of the deep dives into figuring out whether or not it is for profit or not.
Yeah, that's about the level I'm at. It gave me the sense that it's probably for profit. But yeah, the main thing that I really noticed was the prices of everything in the vendors hall were high.
Yes.
We saw a particular item that we bought at a previous convention for $20.
2 weeks ago, I want to emphasize, this was like before inflation took place.
Yeah. Being sold here for 41 whatever, so like $40 plus tax basically.
Yeah, and we looked at it because we wanted to buy another one for another friend.
Yep.
Said that they really liked the first one that we bought for our first friend.
Yep.
But we weren't going to pay double the price for it, so
yeah. Which again, it's just it. And I'm wondering if part of the reason why stuff was that expensive is just the tables for the vendors were on the pricier side.
yeah, some of the Pokemon plush, and I'm talking the small Pokemon plush, was $55.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yep.
Pokemon plush is already overpriced at the best of times, but that, like, for instance, the Skunky thing I have for my Skunk Tank cosplay is the same size as the plush I saw today. I paid, I think, $15 for that. This was $55, and it was the same size.
Yeah.
And Skunky is also rare. So.
Yeah, there was one plushie of what's it called, Darkspun.
Yeah.
That you asked me to look at the price tag for because I could like lean in close enough to see what it said.
This was a bigger plush.
This was a slightly larger plush, but it was into the 3 figures.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure the first figure was at least a 1, but even so, like it that felt a little extortionate. So yeah.
And I want to be clear, this isn't necessarily a bad con. We had a good time today, and I felt like we got good value for our money. It's just, we haven't had a video game con experience that I particularly like. And this is part of the reason I've actually been avoiding horror cons for so long, is they also seem to be more like this.
I often are.
That's a little bit frustrating for me, because horror is also a genre where you could have a lot of fun with that as a con experience. And they seem to just kind of be vendors' halls with horror actors and I said horror, by the way, on the side.
You did, in fact, say horror.
I said horror.
But, I think we're just in the realm of this one of, like, lamenting what we wish it was rather than what it actually is. And again, this wasn't a bad time, and the tickets weren't particularly expensive. This was what, $30, $35?
$35. I think it did wind up being close to like $90 because of sales tax and the stupid online fee that they charge. But this was for 2 tickets, which is cheaper. We did only go for 1 day.
Yes.
But I do think like the 3-day pass was still only like $60. So
yeah. So again, like not the. I feel like if we'd gone 3 days, we would have got very bored.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we did this one is that friends of ours were going to be there and we could meet up with them. And I don't feel like we would have had anywhere near as good a time at this one if we hadn't been meeting up with them.
It was just kind of a nice day out, which is perfectly fine. It just didn't feel like the con experience for me.
Yeah, you're definitely not riding the con high that you frequently are after a convention.
I mean, I had a fun day out. Like, it was perfectly nice.
Yep.
I just didn't really feel any compulsion to stay. So
yeah.
Like, once our friends were leaving and we kind of seen everything, I was like, there are a couple, like, late-night panels that I think could be fun, but I just, like, late-ish night. Like, I think it goes to, like, 10 is the latest.
Yeah,
but
9 or 10, I think.
Yeah.
But again, like, at the same time, the one panel room is, like, in the vendors hall, which means it's loud, and it's...
And after the vendors hall, I assume closes at, like, 6 or 7. The only people there are going to be the people who are in the panel rooms. Then it's even more, like, just kind of weird and compressed. And,
weird and slightly creepy. Because again, like, suddenly going from giant vendors hall full of people to giant vendors hall that's empty of people, that just feels weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, like, not a bad event in any way, and like as a place to go for a day, perfectly fine and functional.
Yep.
Yeah. Do we want to start break things down chronologically?
Yes.
So we got there at midday-ish?
Midday-ish. We went to pick up cookies for my birthday. So we stopped at a bakery. I like to do that.
Yep.
And we just experimented with letting the buns out of their cage, running around outside. So we did that for part of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They like that a lot.
They do. We've given them like their own little like play space that
Mhm.
we're gonna add some stuff into it to like keep them entertained and give them some toys to play with in
Yeah.
there and things like that. It'll be fun.
I just think his toys for bunnies are just like boxes and stuff.
Yep.
Like their favorite things, or there's a couple like I think like things that are just against the side of the wall that like have a little like triangle underneath them, and they love to crawl through those.
Yep. Oh, the burrowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll pick them up a few things over the next.
I'm
couple
tempted to
weeks.
buy a giant poster just so I can get like the tube it comes in.
Oh yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might like that.
So yeah, basically, if you know us and you have trash that you're wanting to get rid of, we'll probably take it.
Yep.
Anyway, so this is about a 2-hour drive for us because it was in Cleveland.
Yep. Again, nothing too nothing too complicated.
By the airport, pretty straightforward. For parking, we went here for Pet Expo last year. They directed us to like the further parking lot. I think just because the first one was kind of backed up.
Yeah. And yeah, that was less about the parking lot being backed up, more the road into it.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to like.
Yeah, so they pointed us down the way, so we kind of went in where they had like, I think that section's technically like their main entrance, because that had like 4 or 5 booths side by side as opposed to one.
Which again is weird because most people seem to be coming at it from the direction where they would approach that other booth first. But whatever.
Whatever. Again, it worked perfectly fine. And yeah, $12 for parking.
And the center is old, by the way. It's like 50 years old. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, $12 was reasonable. You had parking for the day. You just went through for the attendant.
Yep.
It is something for which, like, because of where this is, there's no attached hotel or everything. You could, in theory, if anyone flew in for this, which I doubt anyone except for guests did, have stayed in the airport, but you still would have probably had to pay for parking if you didn't just take an Uber or something like that. So, like, you're just kind of stuck paying for parking, I think, for this on top of tickets.
Yeah, unless you are actually close enough to be able to walk it, which would be unusual.
Yeah, this is not a place that you could feasibly walk quite easily. So, pretty much everyone who was a guest there, I think, probably wound up paying for parking.
Yeah.
Except maybe a couple people from the airport who took an Uber.
Yeah.
Which is not really that much of a criticism. But I do think, if you have to pay for parking, you gotta be free sometimes. Yeah. Like, I can understand it for, like, convention centers that have hotels attached, because in theory, people are going to be staying there as guests anyway. So, like, not everyone has to take a car, but yeah.
Yeah, so we we rocked up.
Mm-hmm.
You are wearing Rainbow Road today, which is again a giant poofy ball gown.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the dresses you wore to our wedding, actually.
Yeah. One of my wedding dresses, you mean?
Yep.
I had several.
Yes, you had 3.
No one is surprised by this. I still kind of, I don't know, regret the fact that I shortened this because I'm a pretty petite person. Because I kind of want to ball gown it now because it's one of the few ball gowny dresses I have that I don't use a hoop for. Like, it works fine without one, but, I feel like I'm just kind of one of those people who, the further I get in life, the poofier and poofier I want my clothing to be.
Again, that's fair.
I still have fun. It is our wedding anniversary in 2-ish weeks, so.
Yep. Yeah, about that. 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah, don't quiz me on when it is.
What year was it?
Oh, God. 2023?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we got in. They did have a lot of people directing traffic, which I think was more helpful than it was anything else. Because there were, I think, 5 or 6 people directing traffic near the entrance of the venue.
Which was useful.
Yep.
Again, served its function perfectly fine. And I think their primary responsibility was to make sure no pedestrians got hit by cars.
Yeah.
Which, fair.
And I was interested with this one with how many people were going to be in cosplay, because at video game cons it tends to be a smaller percentage. There was still a decent chunk of people in cosplay.
Yeah, there was a fair few. Again, definitely fewer than you would see at an anime con or something like that, and especially something like FurCon, but or Steam. Yeah. As we mentioned, steampunk cons, like of the people there, 2/3 of them are going to be in costume.
That seems like low, honestly.
Yeah. Whereas again, at this one, it was maybe 10% of the people there. The rest were in civilian clothes, and to be fair, I'm wearing normal clothes today, just because again, like I don't really have anything that matches with Rainbow Road, and like this,
You were the little like waggy finger guy for a bit. I haven't really had time to like develop that costume.
Yep.
Maybe I'll make you a cloud at some point.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Because again, I did make a prop of the like
Mhm.
Mario Kart start lights. But yeah. So I'm trying to think.
We got in,
Yep, we got in.
parked like there's parking that surrounds the venue, and it wasn't even close to full by the time we got there. We weren't close to the entrance, but it was like maybe a 5-minute walk at most.
Yeah,
so.
it wasn't bad. Like, again, you are wearing like actual high heels today rather
Yeah.
than your normal con shoes. But like, it was a perfectly fine and functional time getting in. And again, the weather was nice enough. And I brought the cookies in with us because I didn't trust leaving them in the car.
Yeah.
So I was carrying a box of cookies around this event all day, and they didn't mind that. So yeah, getting checked in was relatively straightforward.
Yeah, we did get in just because I was in a ball gown and there was like a line. I went off to the side where you went to get tickets. We did pre-register for this. You could buy tickets there. No one we saw online bought tickets there.
So if you were buying tickets, you had to go to a separate line, and that separate line was actually shorter.
Yeah, I did see
by
that.
a lot. So I think most people had pre-regged online.
Yeah. Well, like the line was kind of like, I wouldn't say long, but the person, because I was out of the line and the person who was directing traffic was commenting to me that it just picked up at the time that we got there, which again is just timing.
Yeah.
And timing with this is random. There's sometimes where we're like, we get there really good times where there's no line at all, and there's sometimes we get there at slightly worse times. But like this was not bad. It took like I think maybe 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
yeah.
In that ballpark. Like again, it wasn't awful. And again, they had a pretty good number of people doing it. It was basically one line. You followed it through, and then there was just a group of people behind a couple of tables. And it was a case of, when they were ready, they'd raise their hand, and the person at the front of the line would say, okay, you go to them.
Yep.
Perfectly fine, perfectly efficient system. They scanned the QR code that we got texted to us. We gave them my phone number specifically, so they sent the text to me, because we figured I'd be the one picking them up.
Yep. And they gave us wristbands?
Yep. And they basically said, yep, 2 standard entry wristbands. And I said, yep. And she said, okay, are you okay with me just handing them to you, and so we can keep this line moving? All right, yep, that's absolutely fine. Because again, it's not like she could attach yours anyway, because you were off to the side.
Yeah, and I went and got you.
Yep.
I do think so for day passes, which is what we got the head wristbands. I do think I saw full-on badges for people who are great heirs.
Yes, which I'm perfectly fine with that. Like,
we don't need them. I do prefer them for 3 days, mostly just because like I want to take a shower and stuff, and like that's hard to do with the wristband on.
Yeah, it depends on the type of wristband, but yeah, generally you are correct that because this is paper.
Yeah.
Like this.
It's decent enough paper. Like it's better than some of the ones I've seen, but it still is paper. It's pretty thick paper though.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'll probably have to cut this one off, or rather than just being able to rip it off.
Mm-hmm.
But again, so we put them on. We walked in, like simple, easy. Like I vaguely gesticulated my arm at the guy.
The guy did not care. He was talking to a kid.
Yep.
I think it was making the kid show them the wristband, not because he was like thinking the kid didn't have a wristband, but just because it was like playing with the kid.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. So again, perfectly fine, functional, entryway.
Mm-hmm. And everyone seemed perfectly nice. No back check, which I do appreciate. There was a prop check back by the door.
Yeah.
Which technically we had a prop today because we brought like the weird like traffic light thing.
Yeah.
We didn't bother to get it checked because it's not a weapon. So yeah.
Yeah, but again, based on the people I saw around, I think this was the standard. You get your prop checked, and then they stick a zip tie on it.
Yep.
Which again, that's fine. Like I've had my Hades staff checked like that multiple times. You've had your druid staff that you made, checked out a couple of cons. Like, it's perfectly fine and easy and normal.
Yeah. But it was, pretty standard, and I do appreciate that they don't do bag check and allow quote unquote outside food or drink to the extent that they don't ask if you have it.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
And we did see at that point, because they had billboards of like other stuff that was going on in the center, that they were doing another Pet Expo Halloween weekend.
Yes, which we might go to just because we got some good like snacks for Emma last time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why want to like go and get some more. and possibly some stuff for the bunnies.
Could bring the bunnies with us this time.
I feel like that would be very overwhelming for them.
Yeah, and they would not enjoy that. So.
No. But we might see that small dog again.
And it's probably grown now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've watched our Pet Expo episode, I don't remember if we commented on it. We brought Emma some treats from a stand, and that stand had just adopted a new puppy from one of the other booths.
I wasn't even talking about that puppy.
Which one were you talking about?
I was talking about the drive me close to that Doberman. I wish to bark at its dog.
Yeah. It's worth going to Pet Expo just to watch all the animals.
Yeah. But anyway. So yeah, so we will think about that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to depend on if there's anything else we want to do that weekend.
It is Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But yeah. So what was the... Yeah, so we got in.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we basically sort of explored the space, had a wander around, looked at the various booths.
Yeah, so Vendors Hall around the outskirts were main events. Video game area. There was a cosplay area that was back there that had a few cosplay guests. I think there were also some guests across the side wall. And just various stuff. And there was a food court area that was just connected. We were there for Pet Expo. It was roped off, mostly because the pets weren't allowed in it. But since there were no pets at this except for service animals...
They just had it open, which, again, fine. Yeah. So, we wandered around. We had a look at various booths, and that's where we bumped into our one fan.
Yeah. Shout out to Patrick, who was running 4 Artemis Bridge simulators there with the creator of Artemis Bridge Simulator, who built the software and is apparently reprogramming it. We found out.
Yeah, apparently he decided that it's 10 years old now, so he's just going to rebuild it from the ground up. So there is apparently a new edition of Artemis Bridge Simulator that's, I get the impression, plays in a broadly similar way, but just runs better overall because it's completely rebuilt. So go him.
Yeah, go everyone who does this work on Artemis Bridge simulators.
Yeah.
He did speak to us about how he still doesn't know who runs them at Furry Cons. We will do our best to report on that.
Yeah, we'll try and figure out who is running Artemis Bridge simulators at FurCons. But no, again, this is somebody who apparently listens to our podcast and has been listening to it basically since the first episode of Concoction.
Yeah, and for record, we did not know what they look like or recognize them. They just asked us if we wanted to play Artemis Bridge Simulator, heard your accent, saw me in a ball gown, and realized that we were the con couple.
We were.
Which was it was just such a wonderful coincidence.
It was just really, really sweet.
It is just nice, we have met listeners at cons before, and it's just kind of awesome. It doesn't stop being awesome. We know we're a small views podcast.
Yeah.
And we're absolutely fine with that, but just knowing we're making those connections with people is awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, Patrick, we would have totally played the Artemis Bridge Simulator. It's just this particular venue for it wasn't our favorite, so...
Yes, we'd rather play it in an actual room.
Yeah, it's a little bit more immersive, and it's a little bit easier to hear, and my disabilities, it's just kind of a little bit a lot for me. But if we were at Concoction next year... which we hope to be, I think.
I think we're hoping to do Concoction.
We will definitely play it.
Yeah. And we'll make you that promise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, so we bumped into him. That was a very nice experience.
Yeah, it was so super awesome. It was honestly worth going just for that.
Yeah. And then, just kind of, wandered around, went up and down, all of that fun jazz.
Vendors Hall was extremely, extremely standard. There were probably a bit more old video games and a lot of trading card booths, which is the big difference.
Yeah.
There was that one sword booth, and we've been trying to figure out if this one booth that sells these prop weapons is just the same booth and somehow it has a monopoly on every con, or if there are several of these things.
That just all buy their swords off the same part of Temu.
Yeah.
Could be either. We can't tell.
As we commented before, stuff here was pretty overpriced, and it did seem like the artisanal stuff was just kind of mixed in with everything else, because I saw a bunch of crochet booths just throughout the con space.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that any of the artisanal stuff is overpriced, frankly, just because I didn't look at any of the artisanal stuff terribly closely.
Yes.
Shout out to that one booth, though, that was basically a garage sub booth that was just selling old plush, though.
Yep.
For $3. Go you.
Go you. Yeah. We didn't buy anything, but...
You had some good stuff, though. You're probably going to make a kid who wants something at the con space pretty happy if their parent can't afford to buy any of the expensive Pokemon plush.
Yeah. That's kind of the important thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm trying to... there wasn't much noticeable. I do think that the 4 Artemis Bridge simulators was very impressive.
Yeah, like most conventions will have a Artemis Bridge simulator singular just because there's only so much space for it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the nature of this convention did mean there was more space to have more simulators.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they were less immersive individually.
Yeah, which is not on the people who were running Artemis Bridge simulators. They didn't have an option to be in a better space.
No, like this was a case of they were making the best of the space they had. And again, at one point we walked past and he commented to us that all 4 of them were occupied.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I think a full crew for Bridge Simulators is, 5 people?
Yes.
It's 4 stations and a captain? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I know there's I think a couple extra roles that can be added or subtracted depending on how many people are playing.
Yeah, and depending on how many, if you've got the the machines and the space available for them and all that jazz. So yeah.
We're not Artemis Bridge simulators experts. We did try it once at, I think it was Buckeye Game Fest. Patrick, of course, makes me want to try it again. So we will try it again at some point.
Yes.
It's just there is a bit of a learning curve with it, and I don't think we've quite hit it yet.
Not yet. And again, But anyway. So yeah. Interestingly, one of the other things I noticed that this convention had, which I might have been tempted to try, but there was a bit of a line for it, and I didn't feel like waiting, and it wouldn't have interested you. Was they had BattleTech pods, which if you're not familiar with BattleTech, it's a tabletop miniatures game, which is all about controlling giant mechs. But it's had quite a few video game adaptations over the years. I'm quite a fan of the one that's just called BattleTech. But BattleTech, the pods were basically designed so that you could get into effectively a simulator to simulate being in the control pod of a BattleTech, of a battle mech. So that looked kind of fun. But again, there was quite a queue, and I did not feel like waiting. And
you didn't even mention that to me.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, sorry, I might have been distracted.
Yeah, I think you were.
I was a little bit distracted today.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I do remember you mentioning that to me. I was looking at ducks at that point.
Yeah. As I said, if I was on my own, I probably would have done it, but it was, I think, very much a solo activity. Though so in BattleTech, you frequently deploy a lance, which is usually teams of 4, or at least in the video game, it's teams of 4. So, and I think there are about 4 or 5 pods, so it's possible that it was being done in groups and you were all playing the game simultaneously. I do not know. I didn't get close enough to tell, but looked kind of fun. If I see it again at a future event, I might be tempted. But
cool.
But no, again, there was definitely some fun and interesting things.
Yeah,
it's just I feel like most of those fun and interesting things were fighting against the space they were in.
Yeah, that's fair. They also had, in addition to a lot of kind of have some standard 3D printed stuff. Some 3D printed stuff that I was actually kind of impressed by, which is rare for me with 3D printed stuff.
Yes.
And they did have one of those 3D printed pod things where you can go in your cosplay and have yourself 3D printed, which actually did look pretty cool.
Yeah, those I actually really quite like that as a business. But their prices are a little pricey, but you are getting something unique and memorable, and that's of you and your costume.
And I will admit, with the amount of ball guns I wear, I am kind of tempted by it, especially with Persephone, which is just my first cosplay and probably my favorite, if I'm being honest, just in terms of stuff.
Yeah.
Or the candy skirt, but I have no idea how it would handle the candy skirt.
But again, if we see them again at a future con where you're wearing Persephone, because I've seen them at a few other cons, it might be worth just having a look.
Yeah.
Because a statue of you and me as Persephone and Hades would be really cute.
That would be a lot of fun.
But yeah, so again, lots of the kind of standard cons, vendors hall stuff, and then again a lot of secondhand video games, video game consoles, and that kind of stuff. And again, if we've been to other video game events, and I didn't really see that much that I thought was especially different or unique.
Yeah. If anything, this seemed to have a little bit less than Torg, the other kind of video game con we did, in terms of old video game stuff to buy. It seemed a lot more just kind of standard vendors hall.
Yes, I do kind of agree with you on that point.
Also, is there just because this has been a thing at the last, I think, just back back half of the summer, it seems like every con we've been to, there are just like 6 or 7 stalls that are selling exclusively Pokemon plush. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like, there were at least 5 or 6 in this vendors. There were a bunch at Colossal Con. There were a bunch in Missouri. There were a bunch at multiple cons in India. And I'm just like, Pokemon plush is fine, but like, that's a lot of places that are selling it. Is it just because it has a high markup?
Probably. But yeah. So yeah. So after that was when we met up with our friends.
Mm-hmm. Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja. We're probably just going to refer to them as Bridget and James because that's easier.
That's easier, and they have told us they don't mind us doing that on this podcast.
Yes.
You know, in fact, they've been on this podcast.
Yes.
Did
you get Patrick on at some point? Honestly, did have somebody just talk about Artemis Brick Simulator?
I've heard worse ideas. Yeah, Patrick, if you're listening to this, drop us an email. But yeah, so I have lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So again, at that point, we basically figured, okay, let's sit down, let's grab some food, let's chat. So we grabbed a table initially, just in the kind of like the main food area.
So yeah, the entire, like, I guess if the back is north, the west side of the convention center is then all just food trucks or things that are like permanent food fixtures for the venue.
Yeah.
So we managed to grab a table. Like, the area was really crowded. You did your sprint towards the table and like fight people off thing.
I strode purposefully towards one that happened to be clear at the time.
Yep. So we sat down.
I did not fight anybody, for the record.
Bridget and James, I think, traded off leaving the table. I would have been fine with the stuff by myself, but I think I didn't want to leave me alone, which is nice.
Yep.
And you went to go get food.
Yes. So I ended up in a line for some food that was moving slower than I would have preferred. Mm-hmm. But while I was in that line, I did actually notice that in, again, using that compass, what would have been the northwest corner was another like seating area with tables in it that there was like 3 people in. Mm-hmm. So I actually called you up and was like, we might want to consider moving up there because it'll be quieter and easier to talk.
Yeah. It was hard to hear you on the phone because we're in a crowded area.
Yep.
But I told Bridget and James they just brought their own food, which great move on their part.
Yep.
And we just kind of walked back to that quiet area because this was the con. I think technically did have the entire vendor space, but I think just for whatever reason they chose not to use like the back like 5th of it.
Yeah, about 5th sounds about right.
So like past that there was just some walls you could like walk by and you could stand back there, no one was stopping you, but there was just like nothing back there except for the tables for food and then just a bunch of like, you know, cement space that technically you could walk to the men's bathroom that was back there.
Yep. Yeah, but that did mean that that area wasn't being frequented by people, so it was a lot quieter, which was nice. So I eventually got my food. I think the queue took like 20 minutes, but the food was decent.
You said there was confusion about who was in which line.
Yeah, the line for the burger stand had like spread far enough over that it was actively like blocking the line for the place I went, which did like tacos and like gyro chicken meat on like pita bread and stuff, which is what I got. But again, like the food was quite, it was nice. Mm-hmm. A little overpriced, but not awfully so. Like I paid worse at cons. It's probably the best way to describe it. And that medium soda was supposed to be $6. Yeah, the guy behind the counter was like, yeah, soda's on me. I don't know why he did that. I'm not complaining. So, thanks, that guy. I hope I didn't just say something to get you fired.
It was probably something that they were just doing right mentally.
Yeah.
It might have just been the button to, like, work the thing was broken. Also, it's soda. It costs nothing.
Exactly. But, yeah. So, that was, that was nice.
Sorry, I was just like, well, the only way that they could get that guy in trouble is if they knew that guy's name. And then I thought about, like, what if that guy's name was just that guy?
But yeah. Yeah, so again, that was, the food was quite pleasant. Nothing too fancy, but I didn't necessarily need anything excessively fancy. And yeah, and at that point, we just kind of hung out with Bridget and James and just, talked for a bit.
We had some cookies from Boarding House Cookies, which I'm mostly shouting out because they're really good.
Yeah. Boarding House in Massillon is the name of the bakery.
For reference, $18 will get you a entirely customized
box of a dozen.
Yeah.
And This particular one, you for your birthday, you requested princesses, princesses, unicorns, and rainbows.
Yep.
And they fulfilled that order pretty exactly.
Yeah, and you didn't tell them I was turning 33. So
No, I just, I said birthday. They probably assumed it was a child's birthday. It's fine. We've given them because we got our wedding cookies from them.
yeah,
Same cookies. Except that time, because ducks and swans are important to us, we asked, they said, they gave us their standard wedding designs, but we also had ducks and swans included as well. They're a really, really good little bakery. So we hung out with them for a bit. They'd signed up to be in the cosplay contest.
yes.
So that basically, they had to go to prejudging at 3, and the contest started at 4:30. So we basically hung out with them, until we needed to head over there, or until they needed to head over there, I should say.
Yeah, we walked around the vendors hall a little bit more and kind of looked at some stuff.
Yep.
Mocked the prices on a couple things.
Yeah.
And again, I want to emphasize, if you actually made your own stuff,
You can charge whatever you want
Yes.
for it. Again, it's mostly what we're talking about is stuff that the D&D themed plush that we got at a different con for half the price a couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff we're talking. We're kind of mocking. So, but yeah. So
We briefly went over to, so Bridget and James were talking to us about it. Typically, cons with prejudging typically want you to construct your own costumes, but I think they were probably over there when they were just promoting it to get more people to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were telling them this because we've done enough, particularly small, kind of chaotic con cosplays. A lot of times they just kind of make up the rules depending on who shows up.
Yep.
It happens a lot. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And this is honestly not a knock against that group, because this was run by Rubber City Cosplay, who are an excellent cosplay group.
They are great.
We've spoken to people with them before when we were starting out in cosplay, and they were very encouraging, and we like them a lot as a group. They're very con positive, con encouraging, and they really want everyone to have fun and shine on stage. So I think some version of them interacting with Bridget and James and getting them to sign up and saying it was fine if they just walked across the stage.
Yeah.
Even though they hadn't made most of their costumes.
Yeah, I think they basically said they'd go in the novice category. They probably wouldn't be if they didn't make much of their costume, they probably wouldn't be eligible to really win much, except maybe a judge's award. But they would have the opportunity to walk across, show off, have fun. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you really want.
Yeah. So they were there at about 3. It was kind of crowded and chaotic at 3. And this is, again, on Rubber City Cosplay, just we're kind of on the venue. Because typically with bigger cons, if you sign up for any con that has prejudging, which is where they look at your costume and ask you some questions about it, they typically give you a time slot, and you just have to be there at the time slot.
This one didn't. It just basically said,
Yep.
Prejudging's at 3, just turn up then.
So this was particularly chaotic because there were a lot of kids in this cosplay competition.
There really were. So normally at any given cosplay contest, if there's a youth category or kids category or whatever they call it, usually you get 2, maybe 3 entries.
Yeah, and generally it's one person who's made their cosplay and the other 2 who are in just standard costumes they make for kids and sell at Halloween shops.
Yeah.
Which I want to emphasize is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Children entering store-bought costumes is fine. They deserve to be on stage and strike their Spider-Man poses, and it makes everyone happy because they're really cute.
Yes. Whereas this one, there was probably 20 plus kids.
And about half of them definitely made their own costumes.
Probably with some parental help, but
That's fine.
But yeah, so we'll talk about them in a bit more detail when we talk about the actual contest. But yeah,
So we initially went back with Bridget and James and we're going to hang out, and then we quickly realized it was too crowded and we were just going to be in the way.
Yeah. So we basically said, okay, we'll leave you guys to it. We'll go wander the hall a bit more. We went over. We briefly watched part of the Price is Right panel.
Yeah.
Just kind of standing at the back, which was, I'm assuming, raising money for charity in some way because.
Oh, you should shout out the Federation.
Oh yes, we should. Yes, we did go over to the Federation's booth. They're an excellent Star Trek fan group.
That raise money for charity with their Star Trek stuff.
Yep.
Chris has done the host of game shows that we reviewed on this podcast before.
Yep.
I kind of wish they had a schedule of where they were going to be I
Yeah,
was kind
that'd
of
be
looking
nice.
for that over there. At first, we did not ask anyone for that, but
Fun fact: they have a van
Yeah.
named the Galileo, which, if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll understand why that's funny.
They remembered us from before, which was super nice because we saw them at Colossal.
Yeah, it's interesting. At least two of them were like, "I recognize you guys from so." Were you a Colossal?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we were. Like, oh, cool.
So they're based in Sandusky, so I think that's why they go to Colossal. I didn't really know where they were based until now. But again, the group is cute. They have a lot of like Star Trek stuff you can buy for just money that goes to charity. They have a bunch of custom-made triples, including one on Elise, which is cute. And they had like a little photo op booth in the back.
Yeah.
Something else we didn't point out about this con is they had a lot of photo opportunities around.
They did. Like,
Quite a few like booths and stuff. A lot with like 90s themed stuff. There were multiple like blockbuster themed photo things you could do.
Yeah, and a bunch of other 80s themed stuff as well. Which, like, again, they are theoretically a like classic video gaming event. And like, you know, the 80s is supposedly the classic era of video games.
80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Although one of them was just like someone's living room in like the 80s or 90s. I'm like, I can just go find that. If I want to take pictures in that, like I know enough old people that had that still that I can just go to.
Yep. But yeah. So again, like the Federation are a great group. Check out their. If they're at a con you're going to be going to, they're well worth.
They're definitely worth checking out and supporting.
Yeah.
And if we were in Sandusky, Ohio, I imagine you'd probably be joining them.
Yeah, quite possibly. It'll be nice to have some Star Trek nerds to talk to.
It was cute because they were, I think, trying to talk to you about the new one. I can't remember the name.
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds, and they were just like, okay, what do I have to say to avoid spoilers because you haven't seen the latest season yet?
Yeah, I basically was just like, I am not caught up. I've only seen till the end of season 2. And they're like, okay.
I'm going to talk about season 2 instead.
Yep.
It's very cute.
Yeah, because they would like, because I mentioned the fact that you've talked about like the bioethics of Star Trek events. So they did. I'll explain what Doctor Mbenga did, and you can tell me whether it was ethical or not. But anyway.
So after that, we went to a Price is Right panel.
Yep.
It was basically it was set up to be chosen. You had to basically, I think, you could buy raffle tickets, and then you could be chosen to go on stage. And if you got pulled for going on stage based on how they were running it, you were guaranteed to win something, which was nice.
What that something was going to be kind of random, but they had some decent prizes.
Yeah. So it was, I will say, not much of a, like, the Price is Right was more of like a theme than like a game show. Like there wasn't really any guessing of prices.
Yes. At least not at the part we saw. It's possible they'd already like done that stuff. But...
Yeah, I don't really know. It seemed like they mostly, when we were there, they were mostly pulled raffle tickets, and then you punched the like punchy Price is Right game. I forget the name of that one. And then you got a prize just for doing that. And then you could roll dice or play Plinko, which is just basically where you drop a token down one of those pegboards.
Yeah.
To win more prizes.
Yeah.
Which again was cute and fun. Like it was fun to watch. We weren't really interested in participating, but people won some cute stuff, which was nice.
Yeah, people seem to be having fun. Yeah, at that point we kind of meandered around the hall a bit more, and then eventually headed over to the. Actually, we stopped off back in the in our quiet corner that we discovered.
And just played some games. There was also a gaming space, but it, again, was suffering from the venue and kind of the crowdedness of it. So there was a tabletop space that we didn't really explore, just because both the tabletop space and the video game space for actually like video game tournaments were actually quite hard to get into and kind of narrow.
Yes, it wasn't great design on that front. Like, again, not awful, but not particularly good if you're in a costume.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way to describe it. Like, I would have been fine, you would not.
Yeah, we watched a bit of the Super Mario Brothers tournament, or Super Smash Brothers tournament, pretty standard at cons. Like all things, we think that like these tournaments should have color commentators just to make them kind of more fun for people to watch and understand. But tournaments generally, and this is not, I think, that big of a critique of them, just because all cons are like this, like most video game tournaments aren't really spectator sports.
No, they're mostly intended, like, they will project it onto a screen in some capacity, but they largely assume that the only people who are going to care are the people participating in them, which I think is a negative, because, like, my favorite, like, video game tournament that we've seen at a con was the random game tournament at, I can't remember what con that was. That was before we started the podcast. But again, like, it was just a case of...
It was Dokido.
that Doki Doki?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. They basically said, okay, we've got a bunch of different games. We're going to pull each one out of a hat for each round. And so you never know what you're going to be playing next. So they had some weird ones and some stupid ones and some obvious ones like Mario Kart. Like, it was stupid but fun. And they had a commentator for that who was getting very, very into it, which helped. Yeah. So it's something I would love to see done at a video game con. Just like, yeah. Is this becoming we need to start our own video game con with panel rooms
and hookers?
Yes. But yeah.
I mean, just a video game con with hookers would go awry very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
It would not end well for anyone involved.
Yeah, also, I think that's a crime in Ohio, so we'd have to host it in, like, Nevada or something.
I'm sure there's a brothel in Nevada that probably already does that.
Probably. Anywho. But yeah, so, again, we stayed there for a short time, but not terribly long, because
it was just kind of an uncomfortable space. It was hot. It was kind of cramped. It wasn't easy to see. I did enjoy the fun team names that everyone had, though, because this was Team Super Smash Brothers, which is cool. And some of the teams' names were like Electric Booger 465 versus I Don't Care, or something like that. I appreciate the team that named their team I Don't Care.
Yep, that was a good joke. Well done, lads, or lasses, or persons in between.
And there was a person who was, I think, calling them out, so as tables were freed up, they would then go play at a bunch of stations. So then we went over to kind of our quiet corner and played a game. It was quiet and nice, and we had fun.
Yep. And then at about 4 o'clock, we meandered over, or a little after 4 o'clock, we meandered over to the main stage, where the cosplay show was going to be done.
And I will say pretty much all of the areas that had panels in them did not have enough seating.
Not even close.
This in particular. We grabbed 2 chairs and just kind of moved them to the side for accessibility for me. No one stopped us. It was fine. Like, multiple people also moved them over to just the side by the wall also.
Again, more chairs next year, lads.
Yeah. You probably should have put the chairs back before we left. I didn't want to bother people.
Yeah, well, again, they'd set up a camera behind us. And again, like, the guy who set up the camera behind us so that he could, take pictures of the stage, did explicitly say, was it okay if he put the camera there?
Yeah. And he was super nice about it.
Yeah.
I do think us doing the Star Trek salute to the Star Trek cosplayer got on camera, but well.
Yeah, it might have done, but it was funny. But yeah. So, at that point, it did get overcrowded. I'm not going to, so...
it started a bit late, that's standard.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a cosplay contest actually start on time.
It did get a little bit vampy also at the beginning, because they had the chairman of the con introduce Rubber City Cosplay, who then introduced the cosplay judges. That's a little bit too many levels of introductions.
Yes. And they did also call for volunteers for their intermission show, which was a Final Fantasy victory pose contest.
Yeah, they don't have a printout schedule for this or anything for this con, but they do have, outside of the area where panels are, they have a list of events that are going on just throughout the con, so you at least can kind of see the space and read them. And there is a schedule online.
And the wristbands we have also have a QR code on where you can scan it and get the schedule.
Which is cool.
Yep.
But we saw that this was listed separately, the Final Fantasy Pose competition. We thought it was going to be after the cosplay competition. How are they going to do this in 30 minutes?
Yeah. And then when they explained that was basically going to be their intermission, they were like, "Oh, okay, that's cute. Fair enough."
Mm-hmm.
That explains why Bridget and James have been told that they could be there as late as 6 for the contest, and yet this thing was meant to be at 5:10.
Yeah.
So that was just that was a little confusing on your schedule, guys.
It was a little bit confusing, but I do think it's good to in case anyone really wanted to do the Final Fantasy Pose competition, to just know when to be there.
Yep. But yeah, so we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they go off, and then Rubber City Cosplay come on, and so the co-host for this was Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's the same Steve from 2 weeks ago at Colossal Con.
Yeah, there's apparently a circuit I don't know. Sorry, now my headcanon Steve and Toothless's mom are like in a relationship, which would be
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
and just turning up at the same conventions
Yeah.
together.
For the record, I have no information that that's
Yeah,
true.
no.
And don't write fanfic about real people who are like not actual celebrities because that's creepy.
Yeah, don't ship actual people.
Unless you, I mean, you have our full permission to ship us. Also
Yeah.
to ship him with any furry.
Stop pimping me out with a furry.
The nice thing is though, like furries who do writing commissions, I can pay one of them.
Oh God. Do not write a me cross alkali fan fiction for the love of God.
Okay, at least one furry is listening to this and is immediately going to do that.
I know. If you write that, you don't have to send a link to us.
If you write that, you definitely should send a link to us because, like, why else would you write that?
Also, she'll make me voice act it.
Of course I will.
Anyway, because I have done that in the past.
Yes.
Moving on, because I'm digging my own grave on this one. Right. So yeah, they introduced the judges. We've seen at least one of those judges at other events. Again, perfectly fine.
And yeah, it was clearly a bit more construction based. At some cons of this sign, they just do like applause meter or just kind of vibes for stuff like this. This was definitely a construction based competition, which is fine as long as you're in the going in. They still let Bridget and James compete, even though they, for the most part, blocked their cosplays and just modified them.
Yeah. So they had effectively 4 categories. So it was the usual novice, intermediary, master, or I think advanced is what they called it at this one. But they also had their kids section.
Yep.
And their kids section was weirdly big at this con. Like, as I've said, most cons, if there's a child section, it's usually a couple of kids.
Yeah, I think they said 65-ish entries.
Yeah, I think they said 60, 63?
Yeah, something around that.
Yeah.
And I think about half or close to half were kids.
Yeah, which was really fun to see.
Yeah.
Really, really unusual, but really fun.
And a lot of them did make their own costumes.
And again, there were some fun ones. One group had managed to, there was a group of 6 friends who were there as noble team.
Yeah.
I can't wrangle 6 people to all turn up to the same event at the same time.
Yeah, and apparently all 6 costumes were made by one person. You know that person forced all their friends to do this, but coordinating 6 teenagers as a teenager is just such a...
Again, I just want to know how the conversation went when one of them found out they had to be Cat.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure they were all male-identifying teenagers.
That was probably the most popular kid who was just secure in their presence. It was yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't played Halo Reach, Cat is the one female member of Noble Team.
Yeah, but these were 6 armor builds, all made by one person who was under the age of 18, who managed to get, I assume, a bunch of other people who were all also under the age of 18 to wear costumes and go to this convention.
Yep.
Go them.
Go them. You are not listening to this, but we greatly respect you, you crazy, crazy lunatic. You have a bright future ahead of you. Come to Muskingum University. Technically, this podcast is now a work event.
Yay!
Yay! Anyway.
So yeah, it was... The organizational stuff was a bit difficult with this. They didn't really have anywhere for people to go once they got off the stage, and the area was already overcrowded, so they just kind of stood off to the side of the stage near where we were. Which didn't help. Also, a lot of them were, again, kids, so they were kind of just running around.
Yep, it did get a little chaotic off to the side.
Yeah.
So then they did their novice category, which, as per usual, was
the biggest category by far. And then
except possibly for the kids category.
Yeah.
Then they had 2 people in intermediate and 3 in advanced, I think.
Yeah. And this isn't a con that brings out a lot of constructionists because it's not a major event. And I think if you want to award it this event, I wouldn't take it to count as sandbagging if you entered it in another event because it's not the right type of event.
No. And again, that's not disparaging it. That's just
and the people who were novices and journeymen were, I want to emphasize, fantastic. The journeyman Bumblebee cosplayer was amazing.
Yeah. That thing was stellar.
Also, Bridget and James did great. Obviously, they didn't make their costumes, but I think they were some of my favorite poses.
Yeah. You can tell that... So I'm going to assume Bridget is probably the one who effectively choreographed that routine they did. No offense if it was James, but I'm assuming it was Bridget. Because again, like it was well constructed, it was well put together, their timing was good, they clearly practiced it a couple of times, and like people got a kick out of seeing it.
Yeah, they got some pretty big cheers.
Yeah.
And also because we were near the video for this, you can probably hear us cheering for the.
Yeah, was he recording video or was he just recording? Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if there was audio with that, but if there was, our
Yeah.
cheers will be very loud during that section.
Yeah.
And also us cooing over a lot of, again, the kids range from like,
Adorable to
yeah.
really adorable.
It was like a shark with a bubble wand. It was so cute. It was like 8. And it was,
yeah.
And some of the novice cosplayers were also clearly parents who like brought their kids back on stage with them for when they got up on stage, who were in the kids contest.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of circumstances where kids were like, I think
one was a dad dressed as Wolverine and his kids were Deadpool and the aforementioned like shark who was apparently from Marvel Rivals.
Yep.
Which I've not played because I don't care about.
Are you gonna rant now on this? Really?
I'm just gonna say I'm not a fan of video games that don't have a story. I get bored. Marvel Rivals is it's a like hero shooter. It's like Overwatch and that kind of thing. Like, for the people who like it and have fun with it, great, have fun with it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. There's also I think I forget the karate one, the like kid who was also in a karate outfit. Those were really cute, and they had Street Fighter. They had a little choreographed karate routine they did on stage that was adorable.
Yeah.
In terms of like the actual entrance and stuff like that, this was well put on. I will say Rubber City Cosplay is also great about like keeping the crowd hyped and making sure that everyone gets applause.
Yep.
And they something that I liked is they asked everyone for like facts or information about their cosplay that they presented while they were on stage. And some of the people who were like doing construction talked about the construction. Other people just gave facts about the character and like stuff that they like generally, which was also super cute to kind of get a little.
But I love it when they do the like, why do you love this character kind of thing. Because again, like cosplay should be about like characters that you love or like ideas for a costume that you love.
Yeah, or even just what do you like about your costume.
Yeah.
And all that's great.
Cosplay is supposed to be fun, people.
Yeah. And maybe kind of like I'm glad we didn't actually enter because like waiting in line and stuff like that this kind of would have not been what I was in the mood to do today.
Yes.
Even though I'm sure it would have been fun, but like saying my fun fact would have just been, well, this is my wedding dress.
And if you said my wedding dress, I would have yelled from the crowd, "What up?" But yeah.
So yeah, this was a very cute, fun. Again, just I think most of the like critiques we have of it are just the space wasn't quite right for it. So
yeah. After that, they did their intermission show, which was the Final Fantasy Pose contest. They basically said they had space for about 10 people. They only got 2, which I felt a little bad about, but they had 2 prizes to give out, so as a result, it ended up kind of working
both
out.
of which were swords, and this was basically just a competition where I'm not familiar with Final Fantasy, but it's like a lot of video games at the end, like when you win or at the end, the character like poses on the screen, like theme song. Like a lot of video games do that. So this was just people doing poses with the sword. It was very fun, and like the cosplayers in the background like posed with them, and it was very fun. And both of them had great stage presence.
They really did, and yeah, they did also. They played the actual like Final Fantasy victory jingle, which I just hummed because it's quite memorable and catchy. And again, like both of the people up there, like clearly had a blast doing it. I actually saw one of them later because he ended up standing behind us, and like he was just over the moon. Like
that's awesome. I love it when people have stage and have those moments.
Yeah, and again,
this was a cute like halftime thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of wish they had a few more entrants for it, but again, like I think that just came down to the fact that people didn't really realize
it was happening or what it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of a little bit confusing, but if we do this con next year and they have that or something like it,
I might enter just for fun. Like you could enter just for fun.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable on stage than I was a year ago. So.
Yep. And again, it's just a posing contest.
Yeah.
But, and again,
and the stakes are like you win a sword. So.
Yeah, one was a Buster Sword, one was a Gunblade.
Yeah, and these were of course like prop swords, not. Yeah. They were cute. The person was really happy to win it. So.
Yep.
And I do think some of the cosplayers who were like the guests there who were on stage posing made the swords, which is very cool.
I think they came from one of the vendors' booths.
Okay.
Based on what they said.
Either way, it's a pretty cool prize.
Yeah. Or, well, so the prizes came from one of the vendors' booths. The swords that they were holding and using as part of their routine were ones they'd made.
Yeah, I know that they had their own swords. They also had like prop swords that you could use if you did not have a sword.
Yeah. Again, I would have just borrowed a volleyball from somebody and recreated one of Walker's poses.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think there was a Captain Planet cosplayer who tossed a like beach ball planet out into the stands.
And a
Small child
right in front of us grabbed it,
it.
and it was the happiest. He was so happy.
It was so cute
to get this inflatable globe. Jeez.
Aw. So after that, they announced the awards. I will say they were on time with the awards,
Yes.
which is good because if it's prejudged, they should be on time with the awards.
Yes.
So they had, I think.
Hi guys.
They're out of formation.
Yeah.
They'll get it.
They'll figure it out. There we go.
So for the kids, I think they had third, second, and first place.
Yep.
And they had 3 judges awards, which they did give one of the judges award to one of the kids, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
It was a very enthusiastic little kid. And then they had, I think, first place and runner-up for the other 2 categories.
Yeah. And they also did the best in show, which basically meant that everybody at the intermediate level got something, everybody at the master's level got something.
Which, fair enough. Like, all those costumes look great. I assume they made them themselves. And yeah, technically best in show can be anyone. It makes sense based on what we saw for it to be somebody who's at the master's level.
Yes. Like again, if I'd been them, I might have bumped somebody.
Yeah, the Bumblebee did seem like it was better than Journeyman, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but again, like I would have been tempted to give them best in show, but at the same time, that would have meant there was literally only one person getting an award in intermediate.
Yeah, it gets confusing. You might have had to bump somebody else to intermediate. And I also don't know if they should have done, because I might have also, if they had enough prizes, given out a third place in, because the big thing was that intermediate had 2, so I might have just bumped one of the novices to intermediate to give them a prize, just so you could have 3 awards at each level, just to give out more prizes. But
I also think they had to make more certificates in a hurry, because they did give the winner of the kids category was Noble Team, which meant they had to write up 6 certificates.
And it was very cute. There were stairs for them to get on, and the person who's running Rubber City Cosplay just kept looking to the children off stage. Get on stage safely.
Yep. Again, a lot of them didn't have great visibility in their costumes.
And there was a little hiccup because they gave them the certificates, but they forgot to give everyone the 3D printed awards that they had for them all, so they had to have them all reline up on stage. But it was more just kind of silly chaos that was cute.
Yeah. Again, it was light, it was fluffy, it was what it needed to be. And at that point, that's when we tapped out. Oh, there was one other award they gave, which was their cosplay positivity award.
Yeah, this is something that Rubber City Cosplay does when they host a cosplay contest, which is just somebody whose vibes and attitude they like, which I actually really like as an award.
Yeah. Again, if you've seen Miss Congeniality, it's basically that award. It's the here's the person who was hyping other people up and was doing a great job, and that went to ironically the person cosplaying as a Vulcan.
So yeah, it's cute that they have that. I do like Rubber City Cosplay a lot as a group. My main critiques of the competition were just that it's
little chaotic due to the space.
Yeah.
It would have been good if there was an actual area where the contestants could go and sit after they walked across stage, but again, you were working with the space you had. I don't begrudge you. So yeah, and at that point we we headed out. Said bye to Bridget James. Kind of walked out the venue with them, and they'd realised our vehicles were in slightly opposite directions, so we awkwardly stood around the car park for a couple of minutes and then headed back to the car.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely not one of our favourite cons. It's not going to be one we're still talking about.
No, it was a very pleasant day out and a day where we got to interact with people who were very cool, and that was nice. Probably should talk about briefly the things we didn't do. The Channel Awesome people were there.
Yep.
Toothless the dog we mentioned was there. We didn't do their panel this time because again it's.
But we did see them.
We did see them. They're hanging out at the con. I will say, Toothless and their owner like were doing a lot of like events around the con. They were watching the cosplay competition. They were hanging out and stuff, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
There was a Beyblade tournament the night before that I kind of wanted to go to. We decided pretty quickly we're going to make this one day. There's also a Taskmaster panel last night.
Which, if we'd known about beforehand, we might have gone
Maybe
to.
it was only an hour though.
Yeah, and it is a 2-hour drive, and like again.
Yeah. And I don't remember that being on the schedule, but sometimes they do miss things.
And again, this definitely wasn't one that was worth taking time off work.
Yeah.
For,
Well,
again,
this would have been at night. We wouldn't have had to take time off work for it, but
what's the factor in the 2-hour drive?
maybe like an hour. But I'm sure, like, I think your boss might have given you an hour had you asked for it on the Friday.
Probably. But yeah.
So those were kind of the main things. Obviously, they had a bunch of video game related tournaments we did not enter either. And they had like just a Mario Kart thing where you could drive Mario Kart on the big screen. A few other basic kind of game showy type things.
Yeah.
Video game Name That Tune. But
Yep.
again, a lot of
Space
it's
with, like Crokinole.
yeah. A lot of it's just it's harder to enjoy these things in a venue like this, and I think that's most of it.
Yeah. And again, it's mostly just a case of Torg last year was in the Columbus Convention Center, and like they still had one panel room.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like you could be doing so much more with the concept of a video game convention.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just kind of not, and it makes me
Yeah,
sad.
the only reason, because we went to Torg the year before that, also, again, Torg is not this con, it's a different con, but that time it was in the fairgrounds, and we only stayed for like an hour, because we were just like, this just is not working.
Yeah.
Then they moved to the Columbus Convention Center, which has more space and more panel rooms, but they kept their layout almost exactly the same, where they just put everything in the panel rooms.
Everything in the Ventus Hall, yeah.
Yeah. They even still did trivia in the middle of the con floor, like they did before. Which just doesn't make any sense for a place where you should host trivia.
So yeah.
Anyway, that's not this con, so I don't want to like this one. This like was fine for what it was. It's just not a place where I can like spend a lot of time.
Yeah. So yeah, so if you know of any video game cons that actually are the kind of thing we would like to go to, you're welcome to pitch them to us.
Yeah.
If they're further away than like a 5-hour drive, we probably can't go to them, but you know, it would be nice to know they exist. So yeah, was there? That's a lot of news. Was there other stuff that we didn't do?
I don't know. I don't really feel like looking it up on the schedule. I'm not sure this con is worth that much effort.
No, I kind of agree with you on that one. Like again, there was a few other like panels and events and that kind of stuff, but like again, the nature of the space meant that like none of the panels were things we were desperate to go to. So yeah.
Yeah, this is a shame because like Toothless D&D is stuff that I actually do really like. It's just I did not have the energy to stay to watch it tonight because it was just not going to be in a area where it was going to be as immersive or as fun.
Yeah, like they weren't topping what they did like 2 weeks ago. You know, and again, that's not on Toothless or Toothless's humor, and that's just the nature of the space.
They were doing D&D, and they were specifically doing D&D for beginners, which is good. A few different tournaments. They did have an arcade there, which we didn't mention.
Yep.
We didn't want to go into it, but it was there.
Yeah, I vaguely saw it. It looked like the usual kind of stuff. Slightly more American machines rather than quite as many of the Japanese ones you tend to get at anime cons, but yeah.
The Channel Awesome people were there. I don't remember if we mentioned that.
You did briefly.
Okay. Which again, we're not going to comment on the Channel Awesome controversies. That is not this podcast.
No, that's not this podcast. And at this point, that stuff happened quite a long time ago.
It happened a long time ago. The fact that we were in a con space that they were also at, I don't think is like...
Yeah, like...
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of video game tournaments. Those are the main things. So, probably won't do, like, I don't think I can come up with 3 moments. Just
No,
we didn't do that much.
We didn't do enough for there to be, like, favorite con moments.
Yeah, I think our favorite moments were hanging out with Bridget and James and seeing Patrick, who has been listening to the podcast. Those were pretty awesome things.
Yeah.
And the cosplay contest was cute.
Yep. So, yeah. So, at this point, I think we're just on to, would we come back?
Maybe.
Maybe. Like, if we had nothing better on that weekend.
Like, if there was another con, I would probably rather try it.
Yeah.
I think it would also depend a lot on who was going to be there. Like, if Bridget and James were there, like, they did make the experience significantly better than it otherwise would have been.
Yes. Yeah, we would have been kind of bored.
Yeah.
Without having them to talk to for like a couple of hours. So yeah. So it's going on that, like, nothing awful happened. It wasn't terrible. It's just, again, 2-hour drive and
2-hour drive.
stuff.
It still is kind of expensive. It's less expensive than other cons, but it's not offering enough in terms of entertainment value, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
And it's fine. And if you go in knowing what it is and this is what you like to do, I think you'll have a good time.
Yeah,
it's just not what we like to do.
If you basically want to go in and buy a bunch of old video games and, like that kind of stuff.
Or enter a tournament or something.
Yeah. You'll have fun. It's just, it feels like a video game convention could be so much more, but none of them seem to want to be, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, do we have anything else to say?
That's pretty much it for this one.
Yeah. So, I don't think we actually know what we're doing next week.
We do not know what we're doing next week. I was trying to do Capcom, but their ticketing system just has been shut down for the last 2 weeks, so we'll see. We might do something off the grid next week. Or we can just go to Akron Comic-Con, which is incredibly boring. That's not a shut against it, it's just there's a lot of... Ohio has a bunch of, like, comic book day convention type things that I don't tend to, like, want to go to, mostly just because it's similar to this. They're like basically a vendor's hall, but it's a vendor's hall basically just for comics. They don't really have any other type of programming on it at all, and that's not really our thing.
Yeah.
But we might go to one next weekend just because we need something to review. So
yeah.
And it's close. So
again, we'll figure it out.
Or we can drive 3 hours to this con in a library and it's dusty.
We'll see. So, so that was Cleveland Classic Gaming.
That was Cleveland Gaming Classic.
Oh yeah, Cleveland Gaming Classic. Which again, it was okay. I wouldn't rave. I also,
nothing horrific happened. It's doing, I think, the best it can with the space. I kind of just wish it was in better space.
Yep. And again, it really does make me long for a video game convention that is more the kind of thing we like to see at cons, like more of that community sense.
More of the community sense. I want to see like video game tournaments, like both serious ones and silly ones with commentators on them.
Yeah, I'd love to see just like panels on like the history of video games, or like voice actors talking about the experience of working on different games, or like interview, or like
Yeah, I wonder if this has just been kind of ruined by the Gamergate people. Because I know the conventions at that time period, people got a lot of death threats by the Gamergate people for, going to a con.
Yeah.
And being a person they mildly didn't like.
Yeah. I like being a woman anywhere near video game spaces.
And I want to emphasize, this con was not that in any way, shape, or form. I felt perfectly comfortable this con the entire time.
Yes.
But I do wonder if that problem in video games still exists, and if that makes it harder to have cons that are more community-based in video games because of that. Which, if that is the case, that's really sad.
It is. It could also be that it's almost got the anime problem of, like, video games as a category is almost too broad. Because that covers, again, like, video gaming does cover everything from, like, Candy Crush on your mobile phone up to, like, elite StarCraft players who, like, have their initial build queues worked out to the nanosecond. Like, it runs that gambit, and right the way through things like walking simulators. Like, these are all games.
Yeah, but I honestly think that's kind of also the fun. It's like, I want to see all that represented at a con. I want somebody doing like a analysis of the most eligible bachelor in Stardew Valley next to somebody talking about, like, the best techniques in Halo. Like, that sounds really fun to me.
Yeah. Or somebody just, like, deep diving Mass Effect lore, because why the hell not?
Or somebody who's doing a history of visual novels.
Yeah. These are all good panel ideas. And like, I would love to see them at a video game convention that's got like 4 or 5 panel rooms.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like video games and those types of things are just kind of tacked onto other cons right now. Where like occasionally you'll get like a video game panel at an anime con or another type of con, that it's not focused solely on that.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if I pitched like a deep dive on Mass Effect lore to a a con, I could probably get it accepted at a reasonable number of them. But again, it is what it is. So, we will hopefully see you next week. We have no idea what we're doing, but we'll do something.
Yep.
We've got to keep ourselves sane somehow.
Yes, if we stay at home, we'll explode. It's like that magic build-up for the like Fairly Odd Parents. We have con build-up, which if we do not go to a con, we will explode.
Yeah. Tomorrow tomorrow our buns are going back to the rescue.
Mm-hmm. We're not returning them.
No, but they've had one shot of their bunny vaccine and they need the second, and the vet will be coming back to the rescue.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun time.
No, but they need the booster shot.
They do.
So yeah, so that's our plan for tomorrow. So we will we'll see you all next week, and thank you very much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.